Yes, if you missed the show last week, I'd advise that you go back online and find it because, and if you did watch it, and for the young ones who saw it, you might start to think that, oh, agriculture is all about glitz because I have very glitzy participants on the show who are active participants in the agricultural sector. As I welcome you to Seriously Speaking today, I say, at the end of this show, you will know what it takes to develop yourself and make sure you are able to participate in all the largesse and goodies that exist in the agricultural sector in Nigeria and indeed Africa, if you ask me. So I'll be right back on Seriously Speaking with my guests, if you don't go away. Well, you can't stop me as I welcome you back from showing you some of the glitzy things that this will do. I can't help it. Because this looks very good. This is a stew that's ready to eat. That is a coconut oil, one of the products that you do. Now, what I find interesting about these things is that they are nicely packaged. When you see this, you think it came from India abroad. It came from India abroad. And then when you see my people who've made this happen, it's like, man, they're rolling in money, right? But it's not easy, is it? I need to understand what those challenges are. And I'll start with Ebon on the extreme side, because ladies first.
Right. Yeah, like I always say to people, you know, a business, especially one that you're just starting, is like a baby. And it needs to eat now. It will not wait.
It will cry.
It will scream and cry, and that's really how it is in a business. When you're growing the business, you know, you get into one stage and you realize, oh my God, for me to make this level of progress, I need funds immediately.
But were you thinking about money when you started? I just wonder. Did you think about money?
I think that definitely it was clear that investment in agriculture was a good idea, you know. So I didn't think that we could make money immediately. I knew that I enjoyed the process of a new business, you know, and all of that. But I definitely wanted it to be profitable, that's for sure.
Tell me about getting it to the level where it's of international standard. Can't be easy. I mean, you had your training in America, you're coming back, you must do standard that gets to that level, and you were earning good salary, then you say you want to do stew. It looks like stew, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you have to have, obviously, some exposure to the world, the competitive world. You know, if you look at the products that are in Tesco's and Walmart and Whole Foods and all these different places, you find that you need to compete in terms of the packaging design. Where people consume with their eyes before they actually open the product and taste the food. Because when you go to stores, you see very lovely packaging. You don't know what is inside, but you assume that it's a product of high quality. And I find that in Nigeria, an area that has been neglected is an area of packaging. Especially
for people in the Agric sector, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's a lot of the packaging that's in the market is substandard. And I think that for us to compete internationally, we need to have high quality packaging, both from the design.
Is it easy? You're missing the question. You've done this.
Okay, it's not easy, but I think that there's some investment that have gone into the local manufacturers of packaging companies. I've started upgrading their equipment, you know, to be able to.
Is everything here locally made?
Yeah, everything is locally made. Well, actually, we started by importing the actual packaging, but now we're looking to produce locally. So
that's also another area somebody can invest in. Yeah. You know, that's one of the value chain we're talking about. Yeah. You know, and I find it interesting because you, for example, you know, you don't have a university degree. You could have had one. Yeah. You chose not to have one, you know, and yet today you're doing something that you enjoy. Have you ever worked for anybody by chance?
Yeah, I worked 3 weeks. And I worked as a telephone marketer.
After doing Agric?
Yes, actually, my first business crashed in Ekiti.
What was that business? Tell me. That means it's not so easy, eh?
I was producing corn under irrigation, and the state government brought in some seeds. We bought the seeds. We spent so much. I went to borrow money, and by the time we produced the corn, it was green, it was big, but it had popped. Fresh corn had popped. So
on the cob?
On the cob, fresh green. So we discovered that they brought in research, the state government, the people involved, you know, brought in research seeds that were not certified, and we lost all the money, all.
So you see, it's not that easy.
I borrowed 500,000 then. That was my first major thing.
Okay, it means that to do something, you must put your money on it.
Yeah.
You had to borrow money to make it happen. Yeah. You lost it, but you didn't give up.
No. Oh, that was maybe 18, 20 years ago.
You're young. You know. Okay, and so now we're talking about how living your dream is beyond acquiring a university degree.
Yeah. One, I wanted knowledge, and from childhood, I knew there was a knowledge gap, and so I went after it. A good case study was last year, I co-founded a company called Farm Crowdy. It's #1 in the country now. And last December,
what does Farm Crowding do?
Basically, we match private sector professionals, individuals, funds with rural farmers. The rural farmers don't have money, so the private sector have some savings, so we match them together, you providing an e-commerce platform.
That's another chain, a value chain, that's consulting.
Yeah, that's another chain.
But one important chain, though, is communication. I mean, I keep saying that, information, they can't afford to advertise most of the time, but, for example, you can't pay for this. Okay.
If I'm to speak to that, I think communication is both ways. It's not just for the end product, but also the information for the farmers to actually produce their own crops adequately, efficiently. So I work in Benue, Kogi, and Kaduna on a consultancy for several organizations. And what we're trying to do is get information to farmers directly.
That's new things about new seedlings, better farming techniques.
Exactly, so good agricultural practices. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, you know that women make up over 70% of our labor force, but the agricultural labor force. But the challenge that most of them have is the information. So they have practices that have been passed down, obviously, from generation to generation, and some of these need to be upgraded.
For example,
now. So even just using tools, as an example, moving from I would say standard tools to mechanized tools that are easy to hold and handle for women. That's something that an organization that I consult for has been trying to push. Another interesting thing that we've been trying to do too is around waste management. So cassava, for instance, that we are the world's largest producers, there's so much waste. What people don't know, and this is about information again, is that cassava peels can be used to make animal feed. So Nigeria we import animal feed by and large.
So here we have idea.
So here we have a product, cassava, that we use to make gari, right? And when in the farms, when they're peeling the cassava peels, they actually pile it up and burn it. And it's carcinogenic, so it actually harms the environment. So one of the innovations one of my clients is introducing is helping to convert the cassava peels into animal feed. And that can be used to feed cows, goats, and even fish, depending on how small you grind the peels. So there are a lot of areas to play in agriculture, but I think the information is also lacking, like you pointed out earlier. So how do we get the information to the farmers so that they can produce efficiently and obviously of a higher quality, but then also on the other side, for those who have made products,
how do people know about them?
How do people know about them?
Because that comes to the cost of the fact that business is never cheap, right? It means money. No, have you been able to scale up since you started, for example? And what are the challenges that exist in that area in terms of financing now?
Okay. We've definitely been able to scale up. We started in my kitchen.
Did you start in your kitchen? Yeah. You started in your father's backyard.
Yeah. We started in my kitchen, and we got an order from a big pharmaceutical chain, and we couldn't do that out of my kitchen, and we had to move. We had to make that production.
So how did you get money?
So we started a campaign, kitchen to factory campaign. So we had a target of how many units of our 5-liter keg of coconut oil we had to sell. And we started that campaign, and I think it went viral, and we got a lot of sales. And
so that's the advantage of social media.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I agree that media is important, and I think that businesses should incorporate that into their costs because it's so critical. But everywhere we go, people know the brand because of that campaign that we had to do to raise money, which didn't involve really going out to look for a loan, but it was just sort of thinking around ways of...
So you were creative because you are also in the media world, so you understand. You found creative ways to ensure that your product had visibility. Now, does that make it easy to accept? People say made in Nigeria. Do they readily come for your product because it's made in Nigeria, or they want to...
Because this is an innovative product, so a lot of people are skeptical about what is inside the pack. So what we've had to do is actually do a lot of activations or samplings.
That costs money.
It costs money, yeah. We've gone to the open market. In fact, we did some in a major supermarket chain last weekend, and we continue to do activations, get people to try the product.
So do you cook rice and pour this thing on top?
Yeah, we do. Actually, literally, we do that. We boil rice and then we warm the stew, put meat, and then they get to try the product. And everybody who tries it loves it. So we keep going, we keep going.
So are these things nicely priced? Is price important, though?
Yeah.
I was just going to come there.
Price is important.
Because you don't have any product to sell.
No, I actually produce honey.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a beekeeper. I started in year 2000. And so I've sold honey for God knows how long, and I've made real money, won awards and around honey. But I think I'm going to scale it up this year because many people know me for honey than this. So price is very important. You have to know what price to sell, but not compromise on price. Because people you want to sell to need to know its quality. And sometimes you use price to differentiate your product once the packaging is right.
With the fear of not being bought.
There's always a market for you.
There's always a market. So what's the biggest lesson that you think, you take away from the kind of challenges that exist in the agricultural sector, having worked with them from the outside?
I think for me it's resilience. Knowing that when there's a problem and the solution might not be too obvious, right? But you can try different things to solve that problem. And I think resilience is something that if built in your character or something that you can adopt or adapt to, is something that will take people really far, especially in the agricultural sector. I believe you need resilience.